Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz December 15, 2015, 1:02 a.m. Birmingham. Topic: Cern-Desertron. But let's talk about HAARP for a little bit because it all ties in. Which came first, HAARP or Desertron? Chances are it was HAARP by several years. And in 1976 was not actually the first year Desertron was conceived. It was before that, but it was only then after they started going after the funds, and it took them to 87 to get the funds. So, but HAARP, what does HAARP do? Well, HAARP, it has 180 towers, 180, 70 foot, 72 feet tall, have to be exactly the same. I don't know why. And they're 80 feet apart, and each tower has two antennas. And the two antennas are 3.6 million watt antenna. And it bounces off the ionosphere. Anyway, they act like the pyramids did back prior to the flood. So you have HAARP that they do several things, and they do more damage than they do good for us. Now, as far as what they're trying to achieve with it, they're not going to like it when they get it. They create vortex, and one was the famous blue spiral over Norway that night. This was 2 days or two nights, one day, one night, or 1 day and 2 nights prior to Obama to making some announcement about we made contact, and they stopped it. And then to show force of some type, something to convince him, they threw the vortex of the blue spiral up in the sky. And Obama was in Norway at the time, and he saw it. Of course, you won't never hear that from them. But that disclosure was delayed for an indeterminate amount of time. But you have and you have, they create ultra high frequency active aurora type images, the lights in the northern part of the world, like in Canada, in northern Canada, and then Alaska and upper part of Russia, which is anyway. They don't bounce them off satellites. They don't use a satellite. The name for these things were the Roman goddess of dawn, and the magnetic midnight is what they called them. And there's a lot more on HAARP. I keep trying to say CERN. Mind control. They talk about HAARP being a mind control machine. I can tell you, only if you allow it. And that's God telling you that, not me. Because the Holy Spirit being in someone cannot be inhabited without that person's request or permission of another spirit, which is the demonic spirit, which are the spirits of the dead Nephilim. They're just wandering around trying to find people to inhabit. And HAARP can do this. And so every pyramid that was on earth back prior to the flood, and there were thousands of pyramids. I did a blog not too long ago talking about a pyramid that was in Peru, L.A. Marzulli, and his guy Richard Shaw was doing a Watcher's 8 or maybe a Watcher's 7. And Richard stuck his head into one of these notches on the walls and just said to L.A., said, "Wonder what these," and then his voice changed and he backed out. "Hey, did you hear that?" L.A. said, "Do it again." So he stuck his head in and hummed, and it scared him. It wasn't his voice. He came out. So what they tried to say, and they think it is piezo stone or piezo rock. It's rock, or that's granite, or it's something hard with metal particles in it. And it's got crystal. It's got solid white crystal. These things combined creates a field. And this field, when you outline the entire pyramid with these things, you have a single antenna on top of these pyramids that you don't see. And they had a grid around this entire earth, the pyramids prior to the flood. And picture thousands of pyramids at, I don't know, say 100 miles apart, or say 300 miles apart, but attach a grid to each, and what you end up with will be thousands of triangular shaped objects that look like pyramids, and they're tying them together, but they tied the world's pyramids together. They made contact with one another. They traveled on these invisible lines and magnetic fields. They did all kinds of things. And CERN is part of that. It's just an addition to what they have been doing. But the flood came, and it came because every thought was evil. In that day, the days of Noah, God said their thoughts were evil all the time. They never had, in other words, continually, all thoughts were evil. So, and the things they did to each other, you got the story there. And, but how in the world do you short out a giant electrical grid? Well, you put water on it. And this is what God did. He destroyed all the evil, and he shorted out their grid system with the water. Burned it out, it fried it. Not many people thought too much about that, but that is a fact. And it's not a proven fact, but water will certainly, you throw water on your computer and see what happens. But anyway, the harp replaces the pyramids. Instead of forming the grid right at the sky level, they're higher. Take a lot of water to reach up. But they're changing weather, but they're changing it to the bad. And I'm going to read to you why. God alone controls the weather. Global warming is out the window. There's no such thing. Psalms 42.7 or 42 and verse 7. Psalms 148 verse 8. Jonah chapter 1 verse 4. Job chapter 38 verse 41. There are 45 verses in the Bible that tells us God controls the weather. He moves it where he wants it. He causes the wind to blow. He causes the storms to build. What we do with HAARP is not make it better. We make it worse. That's what we're doing. We're not seeding. They're putting the metal particles in the skies to act like the medical particles called piezo stone in the pyramids. They just moved it up a long way. So anyway, I wanted to get HAARP in the picture and let you know what it did, what its performance is supposed to be. And when I said they create vortexes, look at a vortex as look at it as a possible portal or gateway. Look at it that way and think about that. Jody Wolf Expoz.